There is a quiet, suffocating agony that haunts the halls of countless lives. It's the agony of feeling like you're running a marathon with chains around your ankles, the profound pain of delayed growth. You look at your dreams, and they feel closer to dust than reality. You look at others, and their gardens seem to be bursting with color overnight, while your own soil remains hard, cracked, and empty. This is the suffering of the ambitious heart that can't understand why its efforts are met only with silence and setback. It's the mental torture of the high achiever who keeps hitting a ceiling. This suffering is a silent killer. It chips away at your self-worth, convincing you that you are fundamentally flawed, that you were not made for success, and that the only logical next step is to simply give up. This slow, corrosive heartbreak, this sense of being forgotten by time, can destroy more lives than any sudden catastrophe. It doesn't just block your future, it poisons your present, making every breath heavy with the weight of unfulfilled potential. If that echo resonates within your soul, I want you to lean in close, because what I'm about to share is more than just a story. It is a true tested path out of that darkness. This is the living proof, the undeniable testimony, that the seed of your greatness does not perish. It merely requires patience, persistence, and the right kind of nourishment. This is the story of a woman who for years watered her desert with tears, only to one day witness a mighty forest rise from the ground she thought was barren. Her name was Elara, and she understood the chilling grip of hopelessness more intimately than most. She did not wake up one morning transformed. She willed herself into transformation, one painful, precious step at a time. Are you ready to discover the secret she found? Are you ready to see how she finally allowed time to become her most powerful ally? Meet Elara, a passionate architect whose sketchbook was filled with masterpieces, but whose life was filled with rejection letters. For 7 years she submitted designs, each one a piece of her soul, only to receive the same cold, impersonal response. Thank you for your interest, but we are seeking a more established portfolio. Her lowest moment came on a rainy Tuesday. She was 29, deeply in debt, working as a waitress just to pay for her drafting supplies. She stood in her tiny, cold apartment, holding her latest rejection, feeling the bitter sting of betrayal, not from others, but from her own unrelenting hope. She collapsed onto the floor, the rain outside mirroring the deluge within. It wasn't the rejection that broke her. It was the realization that she had nothing left to give, no new angle, no fresh idea. She was utterly spent. But then, as she stared at a small crack in the ceiling, a thought broke through the despair, sharp and clear. What if the problem isn't the design, but the designer? This was the turning point. Elara rose not with a sudden burst of energy, but with a quiet, resolute calm. She decided to treat her life not as a race to a finish line, but as a slow, deliberate refusal to fail. She didn't stop designing, but she changed how she designed. She started an almost monastic process of study. She dedicated the next 2 years to mastering not just architecture, but the business of it. She took on small, unpaid volunteer projects, building a community garden, designing a new shelf for a local library. These weren't portfolio pieces, they were laboratories of growth. She failed on a dozen tiny projects, but each failure taught her the tensile strength of the materials, the physics of light, and most importantly, the resilience of her own will. She learned to love the sound of the pencil scratching, the smell of fresh ink, and the quiet satisfaction of solving a complex problem. Not for applause, but for the inherent beauty of the solution itself. She stopped chasing success and started chasing mastery. Every morning she would look in the mirror and whisper, "I am a tree. I may look still, but my roots are growing deeper." 3 years after the rainy Tuesday, Elara submitted a design to a national competition. This time, there was no anxiety, only the calm confidence of someone who had done the work. She had ceased to care about the outcome, having already won the inner battle of discipline. The call came on a bright spring day. She had won, but it wasn't the prize, the money, or the sudden rush of fame that brought tears to her eyes. It was a line from the head judge's commentary. "This is not a flash of genius. This is the work of a deeply rooted, patient, and mature mind." In that moment of victory, the profound realization hit her. Success isn't about the speed of your climb, it's about the depth of your roots. For 7 years, she had been obsessed with the fruit, the visible outcome. In the last 3, she had been dedicated to the roots, her character, her skills, her wisdom. The fruit, when it finally appeared, was simply the natural, inevitable consequence of that quiet, unseen growth. She had become stronger, not just as an architect, but as a person, kinder to herself, more grateful for the journey, and profoundly peaceful. My friends, listen closely to the final lesson of Elara's life. Nothing truly great grows in a hurry, but everything grows in time. Think of the mighty redwood. It does not rush. It simply endures the droughts, survives the storms, and steadily, imperceptibly pushes its roots deeper until it is unshakable. That which grows fast is often brittle and short-lived. That which takes time, the diamond, the ancient oak, the wisdom of a sage, is what truly lasts. So I speak directly to the place in your heart that feels tired, unseen, and discouraged. Your current struggle is not a sign of your worthlessness. It is proof that you are planting something monumental. Do not look for the finished product today. Look only for the small, sacred task of the moment, the lesson learned, the page written, the single, honest effort made. Do not despair over the bareness of your branches. Instead, tend to your roots. Have the courage to be patient, have the faith to endure. Because the day will come, as surely as the sun rises, when you will look back on this season of struggle and realize you weren't stuck, you were simply growing. Rise again. Tend to your roots. The time will come.